Another beautiful day in the city of Lagos, and you're watching Meet the Boss, brought to you by ConnectNigeria.com. I still remain your humble host, William Tuzamba. Today we shall be playing within the agri sector. Our guest today is one brand that has done so well within this space. Who might I be talking about? Well, sit back, relax, and after this time out, I shall be unveiling my guest for today. Remember, you're watching Meet the Boss. We shall be right back. Welcome back to the show, Meet the Boss, brought to you by ConnectNigeria.com. I did say before that time out that today we shall be playing within the agri-tech sector. And my guest for today is no other person than Mr. Onyeka Akumah, the CEO of Farmcrowdy. Sir, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us in your wonderful abode.
Thank you.
Good. Now, I usually start my program with this question because I like my viewers hearing from the horse's mouth who the individual is. So let's start the same way. Tell the viewers back home who Mr. Onyeka Akumah is.
Okay, my name is Onyeka Akumah, and I'm from Delta State in Nigeria. First of five, I was born into the family of Dr. and Mrs. Akumah. I did my first degree in applied information technology in an Indian university called Sikkim Manipur University. Went on from there to work with a couple of organizations, the likes of British Council, GTbank, and pretty much my experience there was using, because of my background in technology, I was using my experience in technology, but beyond that, I was also combining that with marketing experience to build these businesses into homegrown businesses that people could relate with. That led me on to work with Deloitte. And it was while I was in Deloitte that I had the opportunity to first work with the first startup that I worked with called Wakanao in 2010. So I worked with that team for about 2 years. Then I joined a group of Germans that were trying to set up their own businesses here. They were called Sabunta and Kasua, which merged together to become Jumia. And so I became the first director of marketing in Jumia. And then later on had a stint with GTV, worked with Konga, but more interestingly was in 2013-14 when I built a news aggregator that later sold to a newspaper house in Nigeria. I think that was the first time I was involved in building my own business and recruiting my own team. Later on, I got involved with Travel Better, where I also helped to start up that business for the owners as the chief commercial officer. And that led me to Farmcrowdy. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. What an interesting portfolio you just mentioned.
Thank you.
Tell me, how would you say this, your background, we're talking about banking, a bit of consulting, auditing. How did all of this help you to form the brand known today as Farmcrowdy?
I think my time working with these organizations, some of them were well-structured organizations that had existed for maybe over 20 years or 50 years. Some of them were very recent startups that were just starting out 2 years, 3 years down the line and had raised some money to build valuable businesses in the country. I think my time there was quite instrumental in how I was fashioned out as an individual to start up the project called Farmcrowdy. I think I'm spending 11 to 12 years building businesses for people or working in organizations as though as I'm an entrepreneur within those organizations. It all counted on how I built my network of individuals. It counted on how I dealt with relationships with investors, or relationship with my team members, or recruiting the right people to join the organization, or designing a business model and then executing on it, driving marketing. So as much as those organizations you mentioned are the bank, or an auditing firm, I was pretty much learning beyond my roles in those firms how to deal with other departments, and I think all of that contributed to starting out Farmcrowdy. And it's also there's a God factor there that allowed me to just pay attention to the details that I needed to start out my business. I'm excited about what we've been able to achieve.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, how many years is Farmcrowdy now?
Over 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Good. How has the journey been so far?
It's been a lot of learning. It's been an exciting. I wouldn't have been doing any other thing apart from this. I've learned a lot. I've had to work with an incredible team. I'm fortunate to be able to recruit these people on the team.
Now, 3 years and rolling. How has the experience been for you?
It's been an exciting journey. I'm happy about the things we've been able to achieve. I wouldn't have been doing any other thing apart from this. I'm also excited about the team we've been able to put together to take this vision and execute on it and bring it into reality. I'm excited about the lives we've been able to touch. Whether it's the farmers or the sponsors that are excited about partnering with the farmers, or the investors that have invested in us as a business to be able to have the fuel to achieve what it is we want to achieve. So I'm quite excited about that. There's been a lot of challenges, as with any other business.
Yeah.
We have challenges, whether it's in recruiting, you have challenges, whether it's in partners that go the wrong way, you have challenges all over the place. But in those challenges, I'm excited to deal with them on a daily basis with my team and get them dealt with and then move on to the next thing. It's been one very, very interesting journey, and a lot have been learned in these 3 years, and I'm very happy about where we find ourselves.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Now, are there some notable challenges that you would say really hit a button in you that the viewers back home can also learn from, and how did you overcome those?
Oh yeah. One of the challenges was when we first started, having to go through a process where people that initially believed in the project, some of them leave before you start, or you deal with challenges where you think you're designing a business to take one route, and then some regulation comes into play, and then you have to take a different route, or the challenge around where you've already started, and then you have challenges maybe with farmers. The farmers, maybe you're providing access to funding for, you're providing technical knowledge and market access for. All of a sudden, decide to take a different route. So those are some of the things we've dealt with. I mean, one that stood out for me was in Plateau State, where we worked with some farmers, maize farmers in Plateau State, and soya farmers. And this was 2 years ago, and about 2 years ago. And they had finished doing the work they needed to do on the farm, and the maize was growing, and everybody was happy. And then all of a sudden, there was a communal clash in that location. Okay. This is in Plateau State, an area called, I forgot it now, but okay. It's somewhere close to Jos. And there was a clash in that area, and we lost the lives of some of the farmers. Some of them lost their lives on the farm as a result of the clash. Some of them lost their families. So the place became, all of a sudden, completely insecure for us to go and do our work. But a lot has happened now over time. From that time to now, there's a lot of calm in that area, the stability in that area. But that incident at that time cost us those farms that we worked in. There are challenges where a dam broke, and then a river broke again, and then flooded in here. And then we needed insurance to come into place to help us take care of that. There have been so many challenges, but I mean, I usually tell people that for everything that's worth doing, you will have these challenges. If it's really worth doing, you have these challenges. What makes one successful is how you take those challenges, deal with them, and then move on to the next thing. But I mean, I'm excited.
True. Now, tell me something. At what point did you decide that the best route to go is an agri-tech business?
I think
must have really pushed
I think
you
it was
that route.
I think it was 4 years before we went Farmcrowdy. 3 or 4 years, 4 years, 4 or 5 years before Farmcrowdy. My time in Konga and Jumia, that time working in those companies, I felt that there are 3 sectors that if you're able to create technology solutions for, you'll be able to have tremendous impact on everyday Nigerians and the rest of Africans. of the rest of Africa. You had, for me, the sectors I paid attention to were real estate, agriculture, and transportation. And I felt that if you're able to have impact in these sectors, every day we sleep in an apartment, you sleep under a shelter. Every day you eat, and every day you move. Now, these three things I felt were core things that if you create solutions for, valuable solutions for, you would have tremendous impact. And so that's why I paid attention to them. Now, I picked agriculture as the first one to try to work on, because this was in 2015. At the time, I was making a decision about which sector to pay attention to. This was also the time that the federal government in Nigeria was paying a lot of attention to agriculture. So I got excited about the space, and I've said, I think there weren't so many people that were doing anything in that space. I understood the challenges of the farmers. There are over 30 million of them that fit the profile of the farmers we can work with. And so designing Farmcrowdy to focus on that area, that was why it started first. I mean, today, everyone knows now that we've got into the transportation space to create solutions there, or the real estate space to create solutions there. But that was the reason why agriculture came first. It was 2015, and I think it was the right time to do this.
Good. Now, earlier you spoke about team. What would you say, how important would you say having a formidable or the right kind of team can play for any startup?
I think if you do not have the right team, your business is destined to fail. It's that straightforward. The right team with the right idea and everyone executing on that, you will achieve the results you're after. You achieve phenomenal success. The wrong team, even with the right idea, you will achieve no success. So I think it's completely fundamental, and it also speaks to how we've designed Farmcrowdy. So starting from me, I have a team of co-founders. And so I don't have to take up the responsibility of managing. As much as I know a lot in all the areas I need to know, I am not the chief commanding officer in finance, or neither am I the one in technology. I know where my strength is, and I pay attention to my own strength. And assembling the team that way, it has trust. You can find each one of those people also doing the same thing with other people that report to them. And that way you're now able to assemble an army of people that has the lieutenant, that has the general, that has the, at different levels, everybody understands their role and how to perform an action. That's one. Two is, you can be a dreamer, but many dreamers I found are not necessarily the best executioners. And so you need a combination of strengths. You can be an executioner, and you just need to find the right dream to work on. I think that combination of strengths and weaknesses, and people taking on the fall for another person's weakness, and then providing their strength where they can complement, allows for success in whatever it is. So to every startup, I think you got to pay attention to your team as much as you're paying attention to raising money or funding the growth of your business.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, I still have some few more questions to ask, but at this point in time, I think we'll go on a short break, and we'll come back. We'll hit some more questions before we wrap today's
No problem.
event.
I can tell you directly that Connect Nigeria have helped us to meet at the moment, over 900 persons at the moment. Now,
we are able to meet a larger group of people right now, diverse people from different sphere, advising us, and also meeting up with them to see how we can connect with them, bring them on board where they can also earn something from themselves. So it has been wonderful.
Connect Nigeria, I feel you guys. Thanks for this opportunity. Last year we were selected as the top 100 SMEs, emerging SMEs, and that was what gave us the opportunity of being here.
Thank you, Connect Nigeria, for putting this together. It's been rewarding. It's been wonderful. I pray that every other SME out there that are not here this year will make it come 2020. Thank you.
Welcome to the second half of today's episode of Meet the Boss, brought to you by ConnectNigeria.com. And yes, we still have in-house the CEO and founder of Farmcrowdy, the person of Mr. Onyeka Akumah. And before the break, we have been talking about a whole lot of stuff, how it started, what the challenges he's been facing all through the years, and where they are today. And now we're back to wrap today's episode. Mr. Onyeka, you're welcome back to the second phase of today's interview. Now, I want to talk a bit more about the SME sector. You're still an SME player, no doubt. How would you say you can rate the SME sector in Nigeria?
I think the SME sector is the bedrock of the economy. There are more businesses that play at that level than combined businesses that play in a bigger sector. So I think they contribute also to the largest workforce we have in the country. And if there's going to be any progress in Nigeria's economy, a lot has to be paid to, a lot of attention has to be paid to that sector, providing the right environment for that sector and providing incentives that allows the growth of the sector. So I want to start seeing, I mean, the government has tried to do some things in place, but there should be a lot more public-private partnerships that will start giving birth to grants that gives birth to funding in the sector, that gives birth to mentoring in the sector, that gives birth to the marketing of the products that come from the sector, such that we're able to export what it is we produce internally, so that we're able to consume it also locally, and it's easily accessible. That also allows the promotion of the sector by taking players that have become successful and turning them into household names that everyone wants to become like. We need to celebrate ourselves a lot more, celebrate this sector a lot more. There needs to also be, I mean, there are other financial instruments that can be put in place, things like tax incentives that provides cover for the sector, things like, I mean, the ease of doing business is one of those things that this current administration has put in place. I commend their efforts for all the things that they've done with the ease of doing business, but more should also be done also on the financial instruments that are available to people in this sector in order to allow them to grow their businesses. This is my view on
That's good. That's good. Now, Onyeka, over the past few years, I mean, we've been following the news spectrum, and we've noticed that Farmcrowdy has been able to get some reasonable amount of grants injected into its business that is helping you to expand and scale up. What would you say are some of the important ingredients that a typical startup needs that will draw such fundings into them? Because time and again, you always hear this as one of the challenges they have. What are some of the advice you can give that you think can help them to be right to the level where such fundings can come?
So I've been asked this question many times, and I've always given my perspective to what I feel are the right things. But on sometime last year, I asked one of my investors to tell me why did they select us, or why did they invest in us. And now these are the answers that I got from them, and these are the answers that are consistent with many other investors that have looked at our business and looked at other people's businesses. The first thing they look at is the team. They want to know, they want to see a team that has history before the idea. The second thing they look at is the team. They want to see a team that has the competency to execute on the idea. So having history before the idea means they're friends, they know themselves, and they can connect. But the second area is a team that is able to also show competency and exert themselves on the idea and then get it to the desired results that they want. The third thing they look at is the market size. Are you building an idea that is going to serve 10 people and all that you're done? Are you building an idea that you can scale and have an impact on your state, on your country, or on the continent? So they look at market size. The next thing they look at is the product. How much traction have you been able to build as a result of starting that idea? How much have you achieved over a period of 3 months, over a period of 6 months? They want to see that level of traction in order to understand whether this is something that if they put their fuel into, you scale it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times what you've done originally without their effort. Then they look at the idea. So the idea is where most entrepreneurs pay attention to. The idea comes as the fifth thing that investors really look at. They will look at the idea and say, okay, how genuine is the idea? How unique is the idea? Does this have a potential to become a massive, massive success over time? Then one last thing that they pay attention to is exit. Investors always want to know, because, I mean, you mentioned grants. Yes, we've gotten some grants, but grants account for maybe 1/10 of the investments we've been able to raise. So investors are investing because they want to have an exit. They want to make money. So even if they're giving you grants, they want to see milestones that you're achieving. So an investor, though, a potential venture capitalist will tell you, if I'm investing $100 in you today, how do I get $150 in 2 years? You have to think about an exit. And you're looking at an exit either by bigger rounds coming into play, or you're going to list on the stock market and become a public company, or you're going to sell the business to another business, and then everybody makes money off the table and move on. You have to always put your attention on the exit and to understand how does your investor then make money for trusting you with their money, and so that he can make money and then have an impact on other people's lives as well, trusting that there are other entrepreneurs like you that will turn their businesses into good success. So these are the things that I see a lot of investors are now paying attention to.
Great. Now, Onyeka, tell me, what would you say has been Farmcrowdy's high point so far?
We've had a lot.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of high points. I think one of it was the state partnership. That immediately turned state governments to become like enablers for us. So in 3 years, we've worked with 25,000 farmers. In the next quarter, we would add 50,000 new farmers to our pool. That will push us maybe to 75,000. I think that was a major high point to get into that partnership with the state government. That's one. Two is when we raised our first $1 million, the first $1 million, the first funding we got from Techstars, the Techstars Atlanta program. I think that was a major high point because that gave us the fuel to grow the business a lot more. That also stamped our place in history in Nigeria, that people could trust the fact that you could build an ag-tech business. Because before us, there was no crowdfunding platform like Farmcrowdy existed. So people are still trying to understand what is it these people are really doing. Two was, in the ag-tech space, there wasn't much success that had come out from the continent of Africa as a whole. And so having to raise that investment in Farmcrowdy, it was a big deal for us. It was a big deal for the sector. Now, a lot of other businesses have come up, and a lot of other businesses are doing a lot of exciting stuff. I think Farmcrowdy has been able to have an impact positively on motivating other entrepreneurs to look at the ag-tech space as something they should pay attention to. So I think that was a big point for us as well. Maybe the last one was when, the last big high point, I mean, for us starting the business was when people started sponsoring the farms. In all humility, we weren't sure people would understand what we were doing. And when they started sponsoring the farms, we've had many, many milestones that we've met and exceeded. And I think that first sponsorship, that first week of starting up, and people were understanding and paying for us to be able to work with the farmers, that was a major high point for us. One last high point I would mention, so I can say that I can go on about several. We've won many awards. We've had many interesting visitors. When the vice president visited our office, which we're in, that was a major high point. That was like the endorsement from the government to say, we support what you guys are doing. He spent time here, he stayed for about 30 to 40 minutes, understood the model, sponsored farms himself, and then the president also conferred us with a national honor. I think those were high points, but the one that touched me the most, the one that moved me to tears, was when I visited Akwa Ibom, and I met cassava farmers, lady farmers in that community. And for the impact that we had in that place, these women came together and composed a song for Farmcrowdy in their own dialect in Calabar. And they rendered that song in the farm. It wasn't easy to even get to that farm. I tell people we flew, then we took a car, then we took a bike, then we trekked before we got to the farm. And they sang that song for us, and it was my most moving moment to see that impact in that way. So I think that those are some of the high points we've had.
That's beautiful. Now, on the last note, words of advice for other young startups or people who want to do something similar to what you're doing?
Yeah.
What words of advice would you give to them?
Okay, I'm consistently telling people that if you want to build a massive business, you got to start small. I appreciate those early days that allowed us to build our model. And so it allowed us to make the mistakes early. It allowed us to understand what were going to be challenges, and we were able to deal with and then grow the business. Start small, understand your business from end to end, mitigate your risk to the barest minimum, And then as soon as you're able to do that, and you've achieved a model that works, then you scale. That's one. Two is read good books. I'm consistently reading books. And in those books, find a way. I mean, I can recommend one book for any entrepreneur. The Startup J-Curve by Howard Love.
Okay.
It's a very fantastic book for anyone that's building a business today. So you understand what stage your startup is and how you morph that business into a huge company. But the different stages your business will be at, you appreciate the level of your startup at that phase, and you deal with the complexities that come with that phase. You iron out those things, and then you move to the next level. So you're not under pressure, because one of the things people put themselves under pressure is, oh, I started with this guy at the same time, but all of a sudden he's a monster, and I'm still here. And then you're trying to compete, but you don't understand the fundamentals of what has allowed this individual to grow from point A to point B. So that book allows you to do that. But I'm able to recommend that book now because I've read it. So I say read good books, read about the success stories of entrepreneurs that have gone ahead of you, but read also about the failure stories of entrepreneurs that have gone ahead of you, so you understand those mistakes and pitfalls that you should avoid. 3 is consistently network, consistently find the right places to build quality relationships. These relationships may not translate into transactional or beneficial relationships today, but you've identified good people you can work with over a period of 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. My co-founders today in Farmcrowdy, I knew them 18 years before Farmcrowdy. I didn't know I was going to do something in Farmcrowdy, but I had a solid relationship with them. I understood their personalities, understood their strengths and their weaknesses, and I knew that when this business was going to start, they were going to be the ones I would call to handle different parts of the business for me. So build quality relationships. It's not also with team members. It could be your potential investor. It could even be your former boss at the office. And how you're able to have quality relationship with them that you can move on and still go back to them and have conversations about your business. I think that is important. The 4th thing is continue to stay healthy, because you can have the best idea in the world. If you're always on the sick bed, you're not going to be able to actualize it. So eat right, exercise well, sleep well, stay healthy. I think that's very important for entrepreneurs. Whatever the cost is, I place priority on staying healthy and staying fit, because that allows me to churn out the things I'm doing. Then the last thing is I always trust God for my decisions. So whatever decisions I make, they turn out to be good, I'm grateful in humility. Turn out to be bad, I'm grateful I learned a better way of doing it. So I trust God for my decisions, and I always consistently hand them over to Him to say, guide my steps and making the right decisions. So this is maybe 5 things I would recommend at this point.
Well said.
Thank you.
Mr. Onyeka, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
We shall be following the success story of Farmcrowdy and of course the other affiliate brands too that are coming by the side. I will be reporting about it from time to time.
I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Well, viewers, you've heard it all from Onyeka Akumah, the founder and CEO of Farmcrowdy. What more can I say? He's shared some wonderful insight as to how he started his business and some of the early challenges that he faced. Remember, you can watch today's episode also on our website, www.connectnigeria.com/CNTV, and you can also watch it on our YouTube page, and also you can follow us on social media at Connect Nigeria on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow my humble self, William Suzamba, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember, as I always say, if you want to see anybody interested on this program, do well to drop me some information, and I'll do my best to bring that person on the show. As I always say, until we come your way some other time, continue to keep a positive mind, and the sky might just be the beginning of your success. Bye, guys.